How's it going, everyone? Man, do I miss you guys. I got to tell you before we go any further that far and away, probably the one of the worst things about this shutdown has not been able to work with you guys face to face because I just got to tell you, you guys are a whale of a class, and you deserve to know that. And the other downside is we were shut down going into the week I was probably most excited for in our U.S. history class. Now, you might notice that I've actually changed the discussion a little bit. It used to be a debate that was going to include the atomic bomb and Japanese-American internment camps and America's role after World War II. But because it's going to a digital discussion, I decided to whittle it to a more manageable atomic bomb debate. But I feel like that's the one that's most engaging anyway. So what this video lecture is going to do is it's going to go over the instructions and expectations for the debate, which is going to start Thursday at noon, and you'll have until Friday at noon, so 24 hours to make your required posts. And if you're wondering what those posts are supposed to look like, that's the goal of this presentation, is to show you what it should look like, what the expectations are. And I'm actually going to show you a mock debate between my wife and I over a different topic, but that's going to look very similar. All right, so why is it not going? Come on, there we go. So expectations for discussion. When you're having your discussion, and notice that I'm leaning more towards the word discussion than debate, because when I think debate, I think presidential debate or governor debate, where you have one candidate that's trying to beat the other candidate, and that's not necessarily what you're trying to do. We're trying to have an academic discussion. There's no winners in this discussion. I want us to this is something I want us to talk about. So in this discussion, there are 5 required posts. Whether you want to do them all in one post or you want to post 5 different times is totally up to you. So one is you must have, and I want you to understand, number 1 and 2, this is before you form your judgment. Or if you've already formed your judgment, you have to play devil's advocate. I want you to provide a detailed analysis of what you think was the strongest reason for using the atomic bomb. There's tons of different reasons I'm sure you're coming up with. I want you to argue which one you think was the strongest argument for using the atomic bomb. And then your second one is the exact opposite, a detailed analysis of what you think was the strongest reason against using the atomic bomb. The third post is where you personally stand on the debate of whether the atomic bomb should or should not have been used. And here's the key part, it has to be supported by 2 pieces of evidence. Those 2 pieces of evidence could be 2 reasons. So let's say you're arguing, they could be 2 pieces that support your side, or 1 piece that supports your side and your counter argument to another side. So you could argue one element that, so if you're arguing against the use of the atomic bomb, you could have 1 piece of evidence for why the atomic bomb should not have been used, and your second piece of evidence could be for why one of the reasons for is not as valid as maybe it sounds. You don't have to do that. You could just do 2 reasons against or 2 reasons for. You have to post 1 question that was raised from your analysis of the information, and you also have to post a response to one of your peers' posts. It could be to answer one of those questions, or it could be just to comment on their posts. Your posts need to be supported by specific evidence from 9.5 or 9.6. And when you respond to a peer or post yourself, it needs to be substantial. Things like great point or I agree, those don't count. I love the positive support, but it needs to be, it could be great point, comma, I loved how you discussed that Harry Truman, blah, 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 blah. So quick recap. Biggest reason you think for using the atomic bomb, biggest reason against using the atomic bomb, where you stand in the debate, 1 question that was raised, and reply to one of your peers' posts. So essentially there's 5 key points to this. Okay, now what I want to do, couple norms. I want you to talk to each other. I will partake in the discussion, but it's primarily a discussion amongst you guys. Refer to your evidence from 9.5 and 9.6. This is what you're documenting in your 9.4. Ask questions if you don't understand what someone has stated, or you can try to paraphrase them. Don't say, "What are you talking about?" Say, "I think you said blank, is that right?" Or, "Hey, could you clarify more what you mean by this?" Don't put down the ideas of other students without judging the students you disagree with. You by all means can disagree. That's kind of the point of what we're going to be doing, but don't put down students you disagree with. And try to invite others to the conversation. The more people you open the conversation up to, the stronger deliberations that we create. Now what we're going to do for the last 9 minutes is to give you an idea of what the discussion should look like. For each of the 5 requirements, I'm going to show you a sample discussion between me and my wife, Stephanie. For this mock discussion between me and my wife, or my wife and I, we were discussing the following debate question. Which of the following candies is superior, Twix or Starburst? Now this debate that we had in teams is based on this discussion of Twix versus Starburst, but it follows the same format that you are going to be following for your atomic bomb debate. So, discussion requirement 1, detailed analysis of what you think was the strongest reason for using the atomic bomb. In this scenario, Steph and I will be showing what we think is the strongest reason for supporting Starburst as the best candy. So in teams, we have this mock discussion here. And so for requirement 1, I posted, I believe the strongest argument for why Starburst is the best candy be the variety and value. Starburst gives you the most bang for your buck. You can purchase 232 Starburst for only $14. It's true, I know. Specifically, I always believe the pink Starburst to be the most exceptional, even though I like all the flavors, even if yellow is a little weak. Actually, I'm being generous right there. Yellow's hot garbage. But I didn't want to undo my own argument. Stephanie replied, the best argument that she saw for why Starburst is the best candy came from the article. Notice right there, came from the article. She's referencing direct evidence. So she actually did a better job than I did in referencing evidence. The benefits of using candy reward good classroom behavior, which states that Starburst is the best candy a teacher can use for a classroom that's reasonably priced. When you compare it to other cheap candies that a teacher can use, like Jolly Ranchers, Dum Dums, Smarties, Tootsie Rolls. Gosh, I hated Tootsie Rolls. Ugh. Or God forbid, peppermint. Seriously, was my teacher having a classroom of 89-year-olds? A Starburst always felt like the best reward as a student, and always loved the thrill of not knowing which flavor you would get. I want you to notice here. Notice how she referenced the article. Notice how detailed both of these posts were. They weren't just quick one sentence. And notice how it's supported by evidence. And so then our second exemplar is a detailed analysis of why the strongest reason against the atomic bomb. So in this scenario, Steph and I will be showing what we think the strongest reason for supporting Twix as the best candy. For sake of time, I'm actually going to just read one of them. I think Steph had the better post. Let's see. Twix is the better candies in my opinion. The discussion's not even close. Ooh, coming out hot. Nope, I'm reading requirement 3 here. Sorry about that. The best argument I saw for... I do not see requirement 2. So be it. We're going to skip requirement 2 because it's kind of the same as requirement 1. Don't know where it went. Where you personally stand on the debate of whether the atomic bomb should have been used, key part, supported by at least 2 pieces of evidence. So in this scenario, I will make the argument that Starburst is the best. Steph will make the argument that Twix is the best, and will support it with 2 pieces of evidence. That's the most important qualifier there. So I started to read stuff, so we'll use hers. So she said Twix is the better of the candies in her opinion, and it's not even close. I love how aggressive that is. My first reason was that while Starbursts are tasty, so what she's doing, she's acknowledging the other side. She's showing she's reasonable. It's incredibly annoying to me how they have a tendency to get stuck in my teeth every time I eat one. I shouldn't have to floss my teeth every time I try to consume just one piece of candy. My second reason is Twix is downright loved by everyone. The Statista article, so again, she's referencing another resource. So you could be referencing a passage from 9.5, like Harry Truman's diary or something. Did a study and found that in a 30-day period, 89% of Americans had consumed at least one Twix candy bar. That's actually kind of crazy, honestly. Stats like that don't lie and show that not only do I like Twix, but 9 out of 10 Americans love them so much that it's part of their daily routine. So, And then my post, while I acknowledge that Twix is delicious. So again, give credit to the other side. Don't just bury it. And I would certainly never say no to it. My stance is that Starburst is clearly a superior candy. My first reason, so again, 2 pieces of evidence, is that I love variety of Starburst. And while I acknowledge that the yellow Starburst is a weakness, the other basic flavors are so outstanding that it creates a feeling of excitement when you don't know which flavor you're going to get each time. Are you going to get a pink Starburst? Are you going to get a red Starburst? Maybe you got the crazy pack and there's a green Starburst in there. Ooh, time to live a little. My second reason, again, have to have 2 reasons. That Twix fell down my list, it more has to do with frustration of the overall brand. I personally find the left Twix, right Twix to be one of the most pointless and useless ad campaigns, and that single-handedly dropped Twix down my list. I'm not lying about that. I absolutely hate those commercials. So you notice right here what Stephanie and I did is we had where we stood, we supported it with 2 pieces of evidence, and we were detailed. We're looking for substantial answers. So the last 2 requirements, 1 question that was raised from your analysis, and then a response to one of your peers' posts. It can be an answer to a question or a comment on another post. So Steph is going to answer one of my questions, and I'm going to comment on one of her posts. You can do either or for that one. So first I'll show you a question that was raised. I asked the question, is it actually healthy to eat Twix, or do most people overdo it too much that it's actually harmful? And Steph replied, to answer your question, I think it boils down to the basic idea is you can always have too much of anything. Even consuming too much water will kill someone, and obviously Twix is a sugary product. Consuming more than a small amount in frequent quantities will immediately undo any progress that consuming chocolate can have. Oh, and here's my requirement too. It got pushed to the bottom. So the discussion we had been having, let's see. So Steph had made a post about how that eating chocolate boosts your serotonin and actually makes you physically feel happier. It stimulates the feeling of happiness and euphoria. And so my response was, I think you made a great point about how consuming chocolate boosts your serotonin levels. I don't think there are many things you can consume that can literally boost your happiness in a way that chocolate biologically does. So again, just to recap, both of us have to ask a question. Steph's question was, of the chocolate candy category, is Twix truly the best option? So you have to ask a question, but when you respond, you can either respond to a question or add a comment to someone else's post. So it's not required that you necessarily answer another question. You could just comment on someone else, but again, it can't just be I agree or yes. You have to add a substantial comment. So to wrap this up real quick, I don't want to see I agree or I disagree or good or point or bad point, and I really don't want to see that's dumb or that's a stupid thought. I want to see substantial responses. So finally, expectations for discussion. Let's go through this one more time. Detailed analysis of what you think strongest reason for using the atomic bomb. Detailed analysis of what you think strongest reason against the atomic bomb. Where you personally stand on the debate of whether the atomic bomb should have been used has to be supported by 2 pieces of evidence. 1 question that was raised from your analysis, and a response to one of your peers' posts. You could be answering one of their questions or commenting on one of their posts in general, but it cannot be, I agree, good point, bad point. It has to be a substantial response. And again, you're using 9.5 and 9.6 as your specific evidence. But if you've been filling out 9.4, it should be a lot easier because you should just have a huge checklist of reasons for, reason against. So this will open at noon Thursday, and you'll have 24 hours for these 5 required posts. I cannot tell you enough how excited I am for this. I will probably take place in this discussion more than I usually would, just because, quite frankly, I am really looking forward to interacting with you folks again. I am super excited. Please message me or email me if you have any questions. And it's been a while since you heard me say this, so I'm going to say it right now. Have a will of a day.